Rain pours heavily over a quiet Texas street. 19-year-old female Emma Collins sits stranded in a broken wheelchair, shivering and anxious. Her mother, 40-year-old Victoria Collins, hurries beside her, holding an umbrella. Suddenly, the garage door opens, revealing 25-year-old male Ethan Miller, a young mechanic with kind eyes. He kneels beside Emma's wheelchair, sparks flying as he inspects it, and softly says, "Don't worry, we'll fix this." Victoria's eyes fill with hope as the garage becomes a haven of possibility, marking the beginning of a life-changing journey for the three of them. Like, share and subscribe and tell us where you're watching from. Now let's get started. The rain poured heavily over the quiet streets of a small Texas town, forming puddles that reflected the dim streetlights. 19-year-old Emma Collins sat in her wheelchair, shivering under a thin jacket. Her pale face and sad eyes spoke of years spent confined, watching life move around her. She had always dreamed of walking, running, and feeling the ground beneath her feet, but her rare spinal condition had kept that dream locked away. Tonight, with her broken wheelchair and the storm surrounding them, hope seemed almost impossible, even for someone as resilient as Emma. Her mother, Victoria Collins, a 40-year-old billionaire, hurried beside her, clutching an umbrella and keeping pace through the flooded streets. Despite her wealth, she felt powerless watching her daughter struggle with something no amount of money could fix. Doctors had tried treatments, surgeries, and experimental therapies, yet Emma remained wheelchair-bound. Victoria's luxurious lifestyle and influence could open countless doors. But even that couldn't offer her daughter the one thing they both longed for, the simple freedom of walking. Emma's wheelchair had given up midway through the trip, leaving them stranded near a small roadside garage. The neon sign flickered weakly, promising shelter and warmth. Victoria's heart sank as she considered what to do. She had called multiple repair shops, but most were either too far or unwilling to fix a custom wheelchair in the pouring rain. Emma's fragile frame trembled, not entirely from the cold, but from fear and anticipation. Victoria tried to mask her worry with comforting words, but the cracks in her composure showed in her teary eyes. The garage door slowly creaked open, revealing a young man around 25, with grease-stained hands and a kind, determined expression. Ethan Miller had been working late, oblivious to the storm outside, focused on welding metal frames in his dimly lit workshop. He noticed the mother-daughter pair standing hesitantly in the rain and immediately gestured for them to come inside. "Don't worry, you're safe here," he said warmly, kneeling beside Emma's broken wheelchair to examine it. There was something in his calm tone that made Victoria feel a flicker of hope she hadn't felt in years. Ethan's hands moved with practiced precision, inspecting the wheels, brakes, and frame. Sparks occasionally flew as he adjusted the metal, each movement deliberate and careful. Emma watched silently, her large brown eyes full of curiosity and skepticism. She had seen so many people try and fail to help her that trusting someone new felt almost impossible. Yet there was a quiet confidence in Ethan's eyes, a determination that suggested he wasn't here just for a quick fix. Victoria studied him intently, sensing a rare kind of dedication that money couldn't buy. As the minutes stretched into hours, Ethan worked tirelessly, occasionally looking up to offer Emma a reassuring smile. "It'll be okay. I'll make sure you can move comfortably again," he promised softly. His voice carried warmth and sincerity, and for the first time in years, Emma felt a tiny spark of hope. Victoria's chest tightened with emotion as she watched the mechanic, realizing how different this moment felt from all the medical appointments, consultations, and expensive devices that had ultimately failed her daughter. The garage smelled of metal, oil and sparks, a strange but comforting aroma. Rain pattered against the roof, and the dim light cast long shadows on the walls. Ethan didn't rush, taking the time to measure, adjust, and reassemble the wheelchair carefully. Emma's curiosity grew as she observed every movement. Slowly, the fear that had haunted her began to soften into cautious excitement. She realized that Ethan wasn't just repairing a machine. He was crafting a chance at freedom, piece by piece, with his own hands. Victoria couldn't hold back her tears anymore. She hugged Emma tightly, whispering, maybe there's still hope. She felt guilt for the years spent trying everything else and failing, but also gratitude that someone like Ethan existed, someone who treated her daughter as more than a patient, as more than a disability. Emma, sensing the emotion, leaned against her mother, feeling a strange warmth in the storm. It was a rare moment of connection, hope, and anticipation, all centered around a humble garage in the heart of Texas. By the time the storm eased slightly, Ethan had completed the initial repairs and adjustments. The wheelchair looked almost new, reinforced and strengthened with precision and care. He offered his hand to Emma, encouraging her to test the movement. Her fingers trembled as she gripped the handles, and her legs wobbled with unfamiliar weight. Yet there was no pain, only a strange, exciting possibility. Victoria held her breath as her daughter took tentative movements, supported by Ethan's calm guidance, and for the first time in years, the idea of standing didn't seem impossible. As the night drew to a close, the rain stopped, leaving behind a glistening, wet town that reflected the soft light from the garage. Emma sat in her repaired wheelchair, but the spark of hope in her eyes had grown into something brighter. Victoria looked on, a mixture of tears, relief, and awe filling her heart. Ethan simply smiled, satisfied with the first step toward a bigger journey. In that small garage, a miracle of patience, skill, and kindness had begun, proving that even in the darkest storms, hope could arrive unexpectedly through the hands of someone willing to care. Ethan spent the next morning in his dimly lit garage, fully focused on creating something that went beyond a simple wheelchair. He sketched ideas on a grease-stained notepad, measuring and remeasuring components with painstaking precision. His 25-year-old hands moved confidently, welding small joints and attaching mechanical supports. Emma watched from a corner, curiosity battling her nervousness. The idea of standing, walking, even slightly moving on her own had always seemed like a dream, but Ethan's dedication made it feel tangible. Victoria observed silently, amazed at how a single person could carry hope in his hands, something money and fame had never achieved for her daughter. The custom exoskeleton took shape slowly, a combination of metal, motors, and flexible supports designed to fit Emma perfectly. Ethan tested each piece meticulously, ensuring every joint allowed movement without pain or strain. Sparks flew across the garage as he welded tiny braces, occasionally wiping sweat from his brow. Emma's heart raced with anticipation and fear. Could this truly work? Victoria, standing nearby, couldn't help but clutch her hands together, praying silently. She realized that Ethan's skill wasn't just technical, it was emotional, as if he understood Emma's limits without words. Every adjustment seemed infused with care and compassion. Day turned to night, and the garage lights cast long shadows over the workbench covered in metal parts. Ethan worked tirelessly, assembling the exoskeleton piece by piece. Emma sat quietly, studying his concentration, feeling a strange mix of admiration and anxiety. Each metallic click of a part joining together echoed through the garage like a heartbeat. Victoria's eyes were moist with emotion, watching her daughter experience this quiet miracle. She had seen machines built before, but never with such purpose and intent. This wasn't just engineering. It was hope being constructed in real time, a tangible bridge between impossibility and possibility. Ethan finally approached Emma with the partially assembled exoskeleton, his eyes calm but excited. "This is the first test," he said softly, kneeling beside her. Emma's hands trembled as he helped her into the device, securing straps carefully around her legs and torso. The exoskeleton felt heavy yet supportive, mechanical yet strangely natural. She glanced at Victoria, who offered a nervous but encouraging smile. Ethan adjusted the final joints, tightening screws with precision. A moment of silence passed before he whispered, "Whenever you're ready, try to move your legs." Emma's chest tightened, a mix of fear and excitement pulsing in her veins. The first movements were tentative, slow and wobbly. Emma's legs shook as she shifted her weight, but Ethan's steady hands and voice guided her. That's it, Emma. Just like that. Keep going. Sparks of confidence ignited within her. Victoria's heart leapt with every movement, tears streaming down her cheeks. This was the first time in 19 years she had seen her daughter experience even the faintest semblance of walking. The exoskeleton wasn't just a machine, it was a miracle, a symbol of perseverance, patience, and human kindness. Emma's eyes sparkled with a mix of shock and joy. Over the next few hours, Emma slowly grew accustomed to the exoskeleton. She took small steps with Ethan supporting her, the rain-soaked streets of Texas still glowing through the garage windows. Each step, each wobble, each faltering movement was a victory. Victoria couldn't contain herself, holding her breath and sometimes cheering silently from the sidelines. Ethan's youthful energy and mechanical genius created a rhythm that Emma could follow. The fear that had haunted her entire life began to melt, replaced with cautious optimism. In that small garage, the impossible was starting to feel real, tangible, and undeniably beautiful. Ethan paused briefly, wiping sweat from his forehead and examining the exoskeleton. Adjustments were made, small screws tightened, motors calibrated, straps readjusted. Emma's legs responded more naturally with each tweak, the device slowly becoming an extension of her body. Victoria felt a surge of hope unlike anything she had ever known. Money had bought treatments, surgeries, and private clinics, but none of them had achieved this intimate, hands-on care. Ethan's dedication, skill, and compassion had created something no doctor could replicate. Emma's laughter, small but genuine, echoed across the garage as she took another step, disbelief written clearly across her face. The night deepened, but the three remained in the garage, a quiet bond forming amid the hum of machinery. Ethan encouraged Emma, praising each success and gently correcting each mistake. She began to understand the rhythm of standing, bending, and supporting her own weight with the exoskeleton. Victoria's tears turned to smiles, her heart swelling with a mixture of relief and pride. The bond between mechanic, mother, and daughter strengthened in ways that money could never achieve. This garage, once a place of work and metal, had transformed into a sanctuary where hope, courage, and human connection converged. By midnight, Emma was taking confident steps, supported by Ethan, but requiring less guidance with each movement. Her face radiated astonishment and joy, and Victoria could no longer contain herself. She rushed forward, holding her daughter's hands, feeling her legs beneath her own weight for the first time in nearly 2 decades. Ethan smiled humbly, knowing the work had just begun, but proud of this milestone. The storm outside had cleared, leaving a calm, starry night, a perfect reflection of the quiet triumph within the garage. It was a miracle in motion, made real by dedication and heart. Finally, Emma paused and stood upright, looking around at her mother and Ethan. The tears in Victoria's eyes shone like diamonds as she whispered, "You did it, baby." "You're standing!" Emma's voice trembled, filled with awe and disbelief. I can feel my legs. I can really stand." Ethan offered a supportive nod, humility in his smile. In that moment, the garage was more than metal, machines, and lights. It was a testament to perseverance, ingenuity, and human kindness. A small-town miracle had begun, a journey that promised even greater breakthroughs in the days to come. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the garage windows, reflecting off the polished metal of the custom exoskeleton. Emma sat in her wheelchair for a brief moment, taking a deep breath. Today felt different, more real, more promising. Ethan, the 25-year-old mechanic whose hands had transformed her life, stood beside her, adjusting the straps carefully. Victoria, her 40-year-old mother, watched with a mixture of hope and fear. Emma's heart raced as she remembered the tentative steps from the previous night. Now the exoskeleton felt lighter, more familiar. Every joint, every motor, every strap had been perfected, and for the first time, she truly believed she could stand without faltering. Ethan gently guided Emma to a spot in the middle of the garage, away from tools and machinery. "Take your time. I'm right here," he said, his voice calm and encouraging. Emma gripped the handles of the exoskeleton, her knuckles whitening as adrenaline coursed through her body. Victoria moved closer, her eyes shimmering with tears, silently offering her support. The garage, once a place of routine repair and mechanical labor, had become a stage for an extraordinary transformation. Emma's legs trembled slightly, but the exoskeleton's support was steady and strong. For the first time, she felt a spark of independence that had eluded her for 19 long years. She slowly lifted one leg, feeling the exoskeleton respond flawlessly. Her muscles, though weak from years of immobility, began to remember movement. Ethan's hands hovered nearby, ready to stabilize her, but he allowed her to take the initiative. Emma's breath quickened as she attempted the second leg, a mix of fear and exhilaration pulsing through her veins. Victoria held her daughter's hands lightly, their connection a lifeline of encouragement. The quiet hum of the garage machinery, the faint scent of metal and oil, and the soft sunlight filtering through the windows all combined into a moment of profound beauty and anticipation. With Ethan guiding from behind and Victoria supporting lightly, Emma took her first full step. Her legs wobbled like a newborn fawn, but she didn't collapse. Her eyes widened in disbelief as she realized she was standing on her own, supported by both courage and the genius of the exoskeleton. Victoria's tears fell freely as she whispered, "You're doing it. My baby is standing." Ethan's pride was quiet but deep, a soft smile crossing his face. The garage, small and ordinary to any passerby, had transformed into a place of miracles, determination, and human connection, where a young mechanic's hands had given life to long-lost dreams. Step by step, Emma gained confidence. Each movement felt more natural, less mechanical, as if her body and the exoskeleton were learning together. The sensation of standing after 19 years of immobility was overwhelming, filling her with emotion she had never experienced. Victoria clutched her daughter's hands tightly, her voice trembling. "You're walking. You're really walking." Ethan adjusted a few minor components, ensuring the device responded seamlessly. The triumph wasn't just in the mechanics. It was in the courage, trust, and perseverance shared between all three of them. The moment became timeless, etched into their memories forever. Emma's laughter, shaky but genuine, filled the garage. She moved forward, each step a declaration of freedom, a break from the limitations that had defined her entire life. Victoria's sobs of joy echoed alongside her daughter's laughter, creating a symphony of hope and emotion. Ethan watched humbly, his heart swelling with pride and satisfaction. Money, fame, or prestige could never replicate this moment. This was human kindness, skill, and patience in its purest form, a transformative experience that proved the power of unwavering dedication. For Emma, every movement symbolized independence, hope, and the realization of a dream she had once thought impossible. As the hours passed, Emma continued to practice, growing steadier with each step. Ethan gradually stepped back, allowing her more freedom while remaining close enough to intervene if necessary. Victoria moved around her daughter, helping guide her hands and offering words of encouragement. The garage, filled with sunlight and the faint scent of oil, became a sanctuary of triumph. Neighbors passing by might have seen a young woman walking with assistance, but inside it was so much more. A victory of human spirit, courage, and collaboration. Emma's joy was infectious, radiating through the room like sunlight, warming every heart present. Eventually, Emma attempted a few steps entirely on her own, without Victoria holding her hands or Ethan supporting her from behind. Her balance improved with each stride, and the fear that had once dominated her mind vanished, replaced by exhilaration. Victoria watched in awe, unable to contain her tears or her words. "I can't believe it. My little girl is walking," she cried. Ethan, smiling humbly, offered a supportive nod, knowing this was the culmination of countless hours, effort, and heartfelt dedication. In that moment, the garage was more than metal, tools, and machinery. It was a testament to hope realized, The rain from the previous night had left the streets glistening outside, sunlight bouncing off puddles. Emma walked carefully toward the garage door, each step radiating confidence and wonder. Victoria followed, holding back her emotions but unable to hide the pride in her eyes. Ethan stayed close, his hands ready but unnecessary, watching the young woman he had helped transform. Every movement, every step was a victory over limitations, over fear, and over doubt. The small garage in Texas had become a place where the impossible became possible, where a humble mechanic's skill and compassion changed a life forever. Finally, Emma paused just outside the garage, taking a deep breath and looking around at the world she had never truly experienced on foot. Her eyes sparkled with excitement, freedom, and gratitude. Victoria rushed forward, enveloping her daughter in an embrace filled with emotion, relief, and love. Ethan stood back, content in the knowledge that his work had made a tangible difference, giving Emma not just mobility, but confidence and hope. The sun reflected off her exoskeleton, illuminating a moment that would remain etched in all their memories forever, a small-town miracle that proved courage, perseverance, and human kindness could overcome any obstacle. As the day ended, the three of them stood together, a family transformed. Emma took one last step, laughing and spinning in delight, her legs strong and steady. Victoria cried openly, overcome with joy and gratitude. Ethan smiled quietly, the humble mechanic who had done more than fix a machine. He had given life to a dream, strength to a spirit, and hope to a mother who had tried everything else. In a small Texas garage, miracles happened, showing that even in ordinary places, extraordinary things could unfold when courage, dedication, and love converged perfectly.